Alright guys, you might be thinking, what is that spreadsheet? Like, what is this all about? You might have watched a previous video when I was sharing with you a couple of methods on how to determine whether a game is going to be good or bad right in the beginnings. And sometimes you might be either spending money to play the game because you got to buy it, or sometimes the game could be completely free, but then you're spending your time. So either way, I wanted to double down on this subject, and today I'm going to show you another system that I've been using. It is a little bit different. I actually made this research for a different purpose, but I thought that it might be used for that as well, actually. I made this spreadsheet just for the purpose of the video. So let's get into it. So first we have this section here. So we have title, that's the games that we're looking in. These are just random games that I've wanted to double check. Then you have search volume. I'm going to have all the websites in the description, so don't worry about that. This one is VidIQ. It's basically showing you the search count, the search volume for YouTube, which, you know, YouTube is the dominant platform. That's why it's very good to use for reference. Then you have Steamchart, which is basically showing you the player count only from Steam. So keep that in mind. Then you have Steam rating, which is basically the average rating from all the combined reviews. So that's also a pretty good criteria because it's all from players anyway. And in the end, we have Twitch view. That's the number of viewers for the current game. The only system that we use, the only main principle here is just the statistic of how popular a game is, how many people are searching for it, how many people are playing it and watching it, you know, those kind of things. We're not looking into anything like pay to win, what kind of business model, what kind of company. We're not looking into those things. This was for the other video. You look at these titles, some of them are very good games, some of them may not be that good. But generally speaking, those are mostly good games, I would say. But you look at Twitch view and most of them have relatively low amount of viewership. Now, keep in mind, I checked them at around the same time I'm making this video right now. That's like 3 AM in the morning, which is usually the time I'm recording videos. That's during the night. So this is off-peak time. So they could be higher at peak times. And usually from my experience, the peak hours would be around 6 PM to around 12 or 1 AM, which is like 6-7 hours window. And then they gradually decline during the night when the lowest player count would be around early morning. And you can see that later on Steamcharts. But getting back on this, these numbers here are very low. And then you see these two games down below, Dota 2 and Marvel Rivals. They have 40,000 and 24,000 viewers respectively on Twitch. Compared to any of the other games, I wouldn't say that they're much worse. That's not what this means. I put Twitch view in the end because of that. This criteria here is mostly for competitive games. So I brought this down here as well. PvP games mostly. If you're looking for a competitive game only, this number would be a bit more important for you because what you usually have on Twitch, you can see the games right now. So you have League of Legends, you have GTA 5, you have Fortnite, Warzone, Minecraft, Valorant, Counter-Strike, Dota 2. Sometimes you have like new games like these. But if you just look at this, there's a trend here. Most of the games that have been here all the time, like in the first couple of lines, most of these games have stayed here forever, okay? And those are the competitive games. At this point, Twitch is mostly a platform to stream competitive games, okay? That's not a platform to just stream video games. It's mostly for competitive games. This has been the trend for many, many years. So this Twitch view section here can only help you if you're looking for a competitive game. Then you want to look at this number. And if the number is high, then this is a good game, okay? But if you're looking for a competitive game and you look at this, you see these low numbers, then this is not good enough. And if you're looking for other games that are not competitive, all these games have low numbers. And only these two games here are high numbers. That means all these are bad. No, they're not bad. They're just not very good at competitive gameplay. People are mostly watching competitive games on Twitch and also some new games. When a new game comes out, initially the first couple of weeks or a month, they're going to have a lot of players. Like I think this game right here, I think came out like a couple of days ago. Expedition 33, 40,000 views. So a lot of games have been here. And a couple of weeks later, this game will completely disappear. And you can look at, I'm going to show you another game that I've seen here, like super popular, at least when it came out. People really loved it. It's right here. This is the game, Power World. So you see, it has only 664 views right now. When it came out, it was like more than 100,000, I think, just based on memory. Anyway, so that's what these numbers here represent. So combined all these things together could give you good information whether the game is good or not. First section here is how much is research. Then you see this cell right here. It's on green. Guild Wars 2. The volume is almost 1 million count for YouTube, but it only has 3,000 players on Steamchart, okay? Twitch, obviously, people don't really look at it as a competitive game, even though for MMO games, I would say that this is probably one of the best competitive MMO game that you can play, because you can literally just play PvP indefinitely, always, without any restriction, almost right from the start. Yet other MMO games have way higher viewer count. So that's a different topic. Why is it in green? Well, basically, some games have standalone clients and are also on different platforms that could be crossplay, and sometimes this is combined. A lot of people could have interest in something, but the actual player count that we're looking at is only from Steam. The game could have standalone client, which is the case with Guild Wars 2, and I would assume most people have been playing on the standalone client before that. Could also mean that it has crossplay, so it's like different platform, could be on Xbox or PlayStation. So obviously those numbers are not going to be here as well. And the only thing you can take from that is if the game has been on for many years. That's the case with Guild Wars 2, by the way. And during that period when it was released on Steam, which was a couple of years ago, I think, it's only getting around these numbers. All-time peak above 8,000, basically about 8,000 players. So it didn't grow that much, okay? That's what it really means. So if they have a lot of new players, they're either going to be on their standalone client, or they don't even have that many new players. Why is this important? Is because you're not going to see accurate numbers, right? You're going to think, well, only 3,000 people are playing Guild Wars 2. Clearly not. And this is one of the most accurate websites I've seen. So you do have MMO populations. I have checked it a couple of times, but I'm not 100% sure about some of these numbers, how accurate they are. So you can check right here, for instance. It shows you total players and daily players. And this could be correct. I don't have any information on that. I don't know. You can only count on whether the official developers are sharing the right numbers with you. And then the search volume, that was from a few days ago. VidIQ is this website. It's actually a website that is only for content creators, for YouTubers, but you can use it with this particular purpose. We just check Guild Wars 2. Now you see a lot of different things. What I'm really looking at right here, just for the purpose of determining how interesting the game is and how much people are looking for it, is right here. That's the search volume. So this is today. Obviously, I have these numbers are from a couple of days ago. This is changing obviously all the time. Then the next thing is the Steam rating, which is basically when you go into the official Steam store page, you can just search for the game and all reviews. That's like all time and recent reviews. And all time reviews showing 88% positive. And recent reviews shows 87%, which is like super good realistically. So these are from, they don't change that frequently, but they can also change. Now, one thing to keep in mind for here is that I'd say Steam rating of 70% or above is great, obviously, but also keep an eye on recent reviews, because there are some games that have very high all-time reviews, like all reviews are very high, like very positive, let's say above 80%. But then recently they have changed something dramatically. It could be temporal, it could be permanent, but they made some change which enraged a lot of people, let's say. And they have recent, like very negative recent review, let's say around mixed, okay, that's not very negative, but let's say mixed, around 50-60%, because they made something that people really hated. So always double check both of these numbers, but clearly if you have both of them very positive or something like that in this range, then that's great. And this is the case with Guild Wars 2. Now you're looking at some other game, let's say Destiny 2, you have almost 3 million search volume, which is like triple compared to Guild Wars 2. And you have 36,000 daily players on Steam. The rate is also very high. And then you have also very high Twitch viewers, basically. So that is, at the same time, that's somewhat competitive game, because this is kind of like MMO, IPS games, something like that. You have high search volume. You also have a lot of players on Steam, or like somewhat good number. Also, you have good Steam rating. So basically, that's a very good game, I'd say, based on these numbers. And maybe they don't have a standalone client. Then you check this one here. That's a very interesting thing. Terra Online. You might be thinking, search volume, more than 300,000. So it's like 1/3 of Guild Wars 2, which is pretty decent. If you play Terra Online, you know that's actually a very interesting game. But here you see these interesting things. First of all, we don't have any Steam count. I put this in red here because either the game is no longer available on Steam, and usually that is shut down. So basically Terra Online has been shut down actually many years ago. So you're not going to see any rating, by the way. And actually the game was on standalone client. So it never really existed here as far as I'm concerned. Maybe it was here at some point. It's actually 0 on everything, let's be real. And when you search for the game, it doesn't even exist here. You see sometimes people streaming it and watching it on Twitch, which is weird, and I'll explain to you why. Then you check this website once again, MMO population, looking all the way down here. You're gonna see almost 2,000 players. Now, this could be a little bit confusing. That's why I'm not using this website to check numbers. Because if you don't know specifically the case with every single game, then you'll be confused. How are there that many people playing the game when the game is not available? Well, this game was on PC at some point. However, it was shut down, but the original company that was developing the game is still running it, I think, locally in Korea. And also, they're running it for the consoles. So you have it on PlayStation and Xbox. So you can actually play the game officially still, but only on console. And then you have another option. You can still play the game on private servers. But again, this could be different from game to game. So it's really just a bit confusing when you see it here on MMO population. Yeah, it gives you some number, but you must know that information specifically for each game. And there could be many games that are in this situation, especially MMO games. Because in the end of the day, you still see over 300,000 searches on YouTube. So clearly people are looking for this game, even though it doesn't exist on PC anymore. But yes, you do have private servers, so keep that in mind. And then down below, I just giving you an example, Bless Unleashed. That's an MMO game. You still have some search volume, which is one of actually the lowest one here, very low, 66,000 in total. And you only have 185 players on Steam. I don't know if this game has a standalone client, but either way, the rating is one of the lowest I've seen outside of Overwatch, basically. But yeah, 52 is pretty low. And also nobody's watching this game, nobody's playing it on Twitch. So this could be a very good indication that the game is pretty bad. Finding a game shouldn't be a fucking science, but in the end of the day, it's better to spend half an hour just checking a couple of games and a couple of charts like this instead of spending hours and hours playing a game or spending money. I know it's a little bit lame, but in the end of the day, this is the type of age we live in. So yeah, you gotta double check everything. Everybody's trying to lie to you for anything, including video games these days. On the surface, you would think Steamcharts is showing you just the number of players, all-time peak, 24-hour peak, and current players, and also the periods of time. You can look at this, for instance. So it had like this is not a good example because obviously a lot of players are not from here. So you can check some other game. Let's say Throne Liberty is actually a very good example because the game has only been on Steam. It doesn't have standalone client. It's only through Steam. That's how everybody's playing it globally. So usually you want to go for all time, but you can't really go for 1 year because the game hasn't been on for 1 year. You can check 6 months. And very often with new games, you're going to see something like this, which is pretty bad. Obviously, the first couple months don't really count too much on that. The first couple months is like the initial hype of the game, almost always going to go down. But then when you keep looking closely, you're going to see just steady decline all the time. It may not be apparent on the graph, but when you actually look at the numbers, you're going to see that gradually they just keep going down and down. We had one spike here, which is basically the expansion. But this spike from average of like 30,000 players went up to about 50,000, which is not even double. It really quickly went super low. Like you see, just 1 month later, half the people, around 170K, the peak, the average players, then lost 50%. It just keeps losing, you see. This spike here, just 30% up from the previous one, was because of the laundry. Most gamers don't really need to know stuff like that. But if you look closely, you see that gradually it keeps going down. Like you have this going up and down, but every next low is lower than the previous low. And every next high is lower than the previous high. So that's like decline, it's always declining. And you get to a point where you see here, that's the expansion 50K. Then going to every single spike, 45, 46 here, it's going here. Here's like 47, kind of in this range. Then here we only have about 41. Here we have a small spike, 37K. This one is 40K, it's 35K. And you see every next over a period of time, 30K. And then right here, that's like the most recent one, 24-hour peak, 24K. So that is steady decline. This game is not performing well, obviously. And outside of the things that, you know, I've said about the game and I know about it because I played it, if you just look at this, you can immediately see that without even playing it, like without spending freaking 1,000 hours, obviously. So that's a good thing. You can look at this. Okay, let's check this game, Elder Scrolls Online. Again, I'm not sure if it has a standalone client, but it does have a good amount of players here, so I'm just assuming, you know, it's okay. Maybe it has standalone client. The game has been on the chart from 2014. That's over 10 years. So I would assume that it had something to do with standalone client, because you see for a very long time we have low numbers, or this might have been beta testing or something like that. Then all of a sudden here you got some spikes. Then you can see that's the all-time graph. Something really interesting. Consistently going up. So that was incline. That's like going up, right? Every next spike is higher than the previous, or most of them. Then here, probably like big update. See, jumping at like 40K. And here we have these ups and down, ups and down. It has this decline, like overall decline here, but it's always going back. And this is a very long period of time. Keep that in mind. If you look at 1 year time, here is losing a lot of players. Okay, but it's staying steady. That's a 1 year period of time. It's staying steady around 16, 17,000. Here's getting to 20,000. That's the lowest one here, around 15K. Then here's again going up, and then consistently going up. That's steady incline, you see. So that's actually on the rise. That's pretty good. 6 months, pretty much the same story here. It's dropping here, and then it's consistently going up. And one last example, you can check right here. That's Warframe. It's a multiplayer game, but it's not MMO. It's a little bit unique. But anyway, let's get into the numbers. Looking at 6 months, like initially you're gonna see, always you're gonna see these declines, but actually this game completely different. That's a long time ago, 2013. That's like 12 years ago. So it starts kind of slowly. I'm not sure if they had standalone client or anything, but they are always going on the rise. So you see, that's very interesting. Consistent incline, which is amazing. That's like super well performing game. This has been going on throughout the years, because you see, you have these big spikes here and going over 100K. Even though it goes down again, it gets back up, except the super high spikes. Obviously, there's like some major update. Now here's keep steady around 50, 60, 70,000 players all the time. There's a massive spike, like over 150,000. Going down to the same number, so it's recovering always, like getting to about 70K or something. Big spike, and then these smaller spikes. It's always steady. The lowest one I've seen here is around 50, 60K for a very long period of time. And then here in the end, you see these slopes going up and down, up and down. Most of the time it's recovering from the lowest one, going back to normal. The normal was around 60, 70K. Here you have a spike of 100K, and then here, now it's going into decline. That's like the last couple of months. That's where it's going right here. 60, around 50, small spikes. And all the way here, last like 1 or 2 months, is going like to about 40-ish. But generally speaking, this game has been performing very well all the time. So I hope that all that information could be helpful for you guys to determine which game you want to play, if it's good or bad, possibly save you some time. So now in the end, there's one thing you can do that's going to be really helpful for me. You can check the voting polls I've made in the community tab. I'm asking a couple of questions which will help me improve the content of the channel. So that would be very nice if you can check them out. That's going to be everything for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. It's going to be great if you hit the subscribe and notification button so you don't miss out on any content that I'm making. I appreciate that a lot. I'm on my way to hit my first 500 subscribers, so that's going to be great. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.